the Haptic for the Arts presentation, and especially it will be focused on what Acro is known for. It's multisensory and interactive simulation of physical objects that was introduced and developed by Acro from Grenoble. So please, Nicolas and Claude, we will soon see you on the screen. We cannot see you yet, but you can start in a second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect introduction. So we will talk a bit of haptics for the arts. Let me share my screen. Here we go. Okay. And I will start for perhaps something like 15 minutes. Then Claude will take over to present various artworks he made in musical creation. Hello everyone. We are in France at the moment, and we are continuing to experience all these distant video conferencing stuff. So this is a short outline of the presentation. I will do the three first steps, talk a bit of why we could use haptics for the arts, remember a bit of the basics of force feedback technology, and show a video with some examples. And then Claude will present extracts of two artworks. So why haptic for the arts? In the before digital means, it's clear that interacting with a physical object is a serious fun. And regarding arts and creativity, there is for centuries, an old and tight interrelation between the instrumentarium and art history. These are three examples: puppeting, of course, manipulating a physical object, sculpting, and also musical creation, which is apparently, according to the look of this young guy, really fun, definitely. What can we say about these three examples? It's an instrumental interaction. It is an interaction between a human, we could call it the player, and a passive physical object. And it is a multisensory interaction which involves gestures, but also visual and auditive feedback. On the gesture side, on the gesture channel, the player and its physical object are mechanically coupled and exchange energy during manipulation. They form together, during manipulation, a single physical entity. This is important because it helps, it leads to two aspects. First, the instrument is embodied by the player. And second, the instrument can become a second nature. These properties are important for expressivity and creativity. As I said, they were core properties for major artistic practices in the past based on the highly sensitive and expressive instrumental human skills, such as when playing acoustic instruments, sculpting, puppeting, etc. And then, about 50 years ago, came the digital era. And it did change quite a lot of things. Today, digital creativity heavily relies on virtual worlds. To play with such virtual objects, the performer can use, of course, many gesture input devices, motion capture, joysticks, cameras, Kinects, etc., etc., etc. But all these devices establish only a unidirectional link from gesture onto virtual objects. That is, the performer controls the virtual object, but he or she cannot feel it, and he or she is not mechanically coupled to it anymore. We could talk of a control or command paradigm. So, with digital means, we have globally lost the mechanical coupling and the sense of touch and kinesthesia in our gesture interactions with virtual objects, especially for digital creativity. So why Haptic for the arts? In short, with only 3 short ideas. To recover the sense of touch and kinesthesia in our gesture interaction with virtual objects for digital creativity. To be able to reinvest our instrumental skills in the fields of digital creativity. And to obtain richer sounds and richer animated image in case of real time, that can intimately incorporate the signature of the instrumental nature of the gesture interaction. For these goals, we have to get interested into force feedback technology. A few words about this specific sort of technology. To restore the be coupled with situation with virtual world, first we need a force feedback system. A force feedback device is a gesture device which features sensors, but also actuators, that is motors, to feedback the virtual scene to the kinesthetic sense of the player. Typically, sensors provide position to the simulation or the virtual scene, and actuators display a force to the user, and this force is taken from the virtual scene. Of course, to match human high instrumental skills, the device must meet some specific requirements, but I won't get into these details. On the side of the virtual worlds, in the computer, we do have to compute a force according to a position. To that aim, we are led to set up a physical model, or what is called a physics-based model. Hence, besides its renowned interests for sound and visuals, physical modeling becomes with haptics, with force feedback, a true necessity, of course, to match human high instrumental skills. The simulation, again, requires meeting various technical requirements, but I won't get into these details today. Let's go for a basic example, which is perhaps the simplest possible situation we can think of when we talk of haptics. So we have a single degrees of freedom haptic system, a basic key. And in the virtual world, in the simulation, we set up a square, which represents the gesture device in the simulation. Its position will reflect the position of the real key, and the force it receives from the simulation will be sent to the motor. And attached to this, we have a basic virtual spring damper. Now, on each simulation step, when the player moves the real key of the device, then the virtual key moves accordingly in the simulation. The virtual spring damper will compute a force according to its basic algorithm. The force is sent back to the virtual key, and then it is sent back to the real key's motor. As a consequence, the player feels the spring damper as if it was real. In short, everything runs
Ok.
That's it for these examples. Perhaps we go right now with Claude, and if there is some questions we can discuss after. Claude, what do you think?
Okay.
Yes.
For me, okay.
Tu partages ton écran, c'est ça?
Yes.
Non.
Share screen.
Oh, oui.
Qu'est-ce que donc tu vas où est-ce que je vais le truc là? Le zoom, il est où? Le zoom. En grand, qu'est-ce qu'il a fait? Non. Il a perdu son grand écran zoom. Là. Comment on fait? Tu l'as vu là?
Hein? Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
On trouve plus. Il a perdu.
Tu vas sur Zoom.
Oui, va sur.
Tu
Zoom.
fais retour à la réunion, le bouton orange. Sorry for the technical mess.
Non, attends, pas là. Ne fais pas retour à la réunion. Non, mais.
J'ai plus le.
Qu'est-ce que tu vois?
Il ne voit plus le.
Je vois plus l'écran principal de Zoom.
Alors, qu'est-ce que tu vois?
Il voit les trois petits écrans où il y a lui, Ludmilla et toi.
Quelle drôle d'idée.
Clique sur un. On a arrêté la vidéo, donc ça va pas. On voit plus Zoom. Enfin. Voilà, c'est bon. Partagez l'écran. C'était perdu. Voilà, ici.
Voilà, est-ce que
ici,
vous voyez... Ah oui, partagez l'écran, voilà, d'accord.
Voilà, tu as fait le bon?
Tout bon.
C'est tout bon.
Ah, yes.
Faites là un écran ici, c'est tout.
It's okay.
Non, pas ici. Sur là. Voilà. Notre présentateur. Vous êtes OK?
Yes.
Hein? Okay.
Okay, so I will present two artworks made with Cordis Anima Genesis and with and for the special platform we call Helicant. The both Piers Quetzalcoatl and Helios are for this platform. In fact, I will present first Helios and in second Quetzalcoatl. So just a few words about the Helicant station platform. This platform brings together all the key technologies developed by Acroé for several decades. That is synthesis by Cordis Anima physical modeling, Genesis, modeler for designing and creating Cordis Anima models, Acroé Ergos 12K force feedback keyboards, Teluris, which is a real-time simulator, and a specific installation of 24 loudspeaker for sound projection and immersion. Okay, we can see the component of this Helicant workstation platform with a real-time simulator and the force feedback system with its own electronic module, and also the two software for art creation, Genesis for musical creation and Mimesis for animated image. And we have displaying of the sound created in real time or in non-real time, in fact, to the sound dome. The sound dome is made of 24 loudspeakers organized in three circles above the head. Of course, it is possible to put together several installations of this type in the same place with several computers connected to the same output audio and video devices, and also with several force feedback haptic system dispatch in the room. More, it is possible to place in an hyper-communication network, that is internet, comprising several interconnected platforms of this nature. It is one of the future orientation goals for our work, but for the moment we have not yet experienced it. Okay, so now let's go to Helicant. To Helios, sorry. Helios is made of a great number of Cordis Anima module. It is built thanks to Genesis. We can see on the picture a lot of objects. In fact, we can identify several kind of objects. For example, this one is this circle, this disc is in fact a very big gong. This one is a smaller gong, and this one is a gong which where we have made holes, and they are identical, but there is a little difference between this one. And we have several devices, several systems to generate a succession of impacts on various objects. We can see, for example, very small representation. This is a kind of harp. This is a kind of metallophone, and a small gong and timbales suspended, and with which it is possible to play. And here we have a force feedback which intervene in a real time. This part is not real time; it is pre-calculated, but it can be combined and send for visual display and for acoustical audio display on the sound dome. And this, for example, in this case, represent a subpart of the big model, exactly the same as this one. And you can see that in the big model for non-real time, we can have an instrument which can be also used in the real-time sequence. So the real-time model can be played by the force feedback keyboard here by one people. So the complete work is made of two big Cordis Anima models, both created with Genesis. One, I precise, one for the live part to play with Ergon keyboard, and it comprises about 8,000 modules, and the other for the master scene calculated in deferred time, comprising 120,000 modules. Okay, now we can play the first video. The video, please. Don't.
It's O3 intro. Helios intro.
03A intro Helios.
Yes.
Okay. In which we will see several examples of and sound of part of this complete model, and after that we will play the full Helios live video where we have simultaneously the pre-calculated part and the live performance during the concert. So please, the first the first, and I will give some comment if possible during the Oui. Okay.
Is it running?
Yes. So various sounds are made with the gong we have in the piece, and this is a small building, a small montage in order to illustrate the various timbre we can get with the simulation of gong. And here we have several gongs again, and particles which are catch against the gongs and so can play them alternatively, and it is possible with this arrangement of particles to create a sequence of sound for the performance in non-real time. Okay, so now we can play the whole version of Helios. Okay, you can give the video for a full Helios live.
C'est parti.
Maybe the sound is not very loud, so you can increase it if necessary. Ça tombe là ou c'est... Ah oui. Mmh. Okay.
Zoom qui a encore disparu. Ah non, pas ça. Non, pas ça, pas ça, pas ça, pas ça. Fais ça. Non, non, pas de vie.
Alors, ok, donc avec cette stratégie.
Attends. Il est où? Comment on veut faire pour revenir? Ah bah voilà.
Nouveau partage.
Ah bah non, tu es toujours en partage.
Ok. Can you see my...
Yes. You can just relance le diaporama PowerPoint et on est bon, Claude.
Oui, alors mode présentateur. Comme ça?
Parfait.
Ok.
Wunderbar.
Now, let's go to Quetzalcoatl, which is also created for and with Elegant workstation, with all the technology, like I said before. And also there is the same combination of real-time part and non-real-time big model, which are combined. In Helios, we have seen how we can act on a real-time part with the force feedback system, which is in correspondence with the master model. In Quetzalcoatl, we will see another situation. We have the complete model. It is very big with 2,100 of component, and we can see three elements in this figure. So a set of 100,000 oscillator, the big galaxy, if you see, with a blue particle on which are catch also particles with high velocity and high energy in order to put it in vibration. And in the black hole of this galaxy, we have a big gong, and which also is played. Something which is very important, but we cannot see on this picture, is that we have two kinds of haptic devices and more two real haptic devices with K, like we see before, and also a virtual haptic. This is quite strange. But virtual haptic systems are, in fact, emulation, are, in fact, haptic system simulated within the model, and in such a way that we can, even in a non-real-time situation, put into play simulator of force feedback. And in the system and in the real-time model, we can introduce two kinds of interaction. First, between virtual haptic system and real, because we can feel under our finger the presence of virtual haptic system. And another thing which is very important, and I will illustrate it soon, is that we can put a connection, a link a virtual mechanical link between the two real force feedback system, and in order to get an interaction between the instrumentalist itself. I think we will see this clearly in the video. We can put now the second video for me, which is.
Tu veux quitter le plein écran?
Oui.
C'est bon. Tu veux quitter le plein écran?
Oui, quitter le plein écran. Okay, donc, so now let's go to the next video, which is the video 5, Quetzalcoatl. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your attention.
Non, rien.
Non, rien.
Tu peux départager ton écran. Tu peux arrêter le partage, non? On peut arrêter le partage, Nicolas? We can stop.
Il n'était pas encore.
You can.
Oui.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your attention, and we can, Nicolas and me, and also Annie, answer questions if there are.
Discuss or whatever.
And discuss.
Yes, I'm here with the audience in Osmosa. If they have a question, they can ask you. I will pass the microphone to Simone.
Good morning. I'm Simone. I'm studying Genesis in Cuneo with Giuseppe Gavazza. And I'm too interested into your program, and I want to ask you if you think it will possible in the future create some type of real-time controller, not maybe not your force feedback system, but also with can control Genesis with, I don't know, a USB interface or something like that, for maybe live electronics pieces of improvisation.
Yes, it is absolutely, technically, it is absolutely possible. Nothing will forbid it. Maybe Nicolas can give some element on how, in what step it can be done. For example, just a few words. In fact, we have to distinguish between what is the gestural and instrumental control, which is suppose a force feedback system, and what Nicolas introduces in this part was what he calls control. That is, in the typology of gesture, instrumental gesture, we can indeed separate two kinds of real-time modification or interaction with instrument. The one which are typically instrumental, that is, which are very closely linked with technological problem of force feedback, and the one which, for example, we have, if we have an instrument, a big instrument made with Genesis, maybe some time in the work, it is not necessary to simulate a part of instrument which is not used at this precise time. So we can decide by an action to keep off this part, or more less strong interaction. We can what in the gesture interaction, in the gesture typology, what it's called modification gesture. For example, if I want to modify the length of a string during the performance, it is not necessary to use force feedback system, and very simple, more simple devices can be used and introduced and used in order to make some, and also for example, to modify some parameters. It is possible. So, Nicolas, maybe if you want, Nicolas can speak about the technical solution, and what are the obstacles we have to pass in order to introduce this, and as soon as possible.
Yep, thanks for the question. there is no major technical obstacle. There is the core idea here is what Claude said, which is if we have physical modeling using haptic device, force feedback device, is very logical to let all our the human aptitude, instrumental aptitude invest in the interaction. This being said, we have been setting up many situations, per case situations, in which Cordis Anima models, especially Genesis models, are acted with other kind of devices. There is a piece ongoing by Annie and a dancer. There is a work ongoing with Alexandros Kondorgatergopoulos from the Eastern DC project, and there are many other works. So we have been employed. How is it? Virtual reality mini cave devices like in-hand joystick to control Genesis system. We have been employed joysticks, sensors of various sorts, etc. So technically now, it's possible. It's not integrated in the code of Genesis, and it won't be for some time because there are other priorities. But provided we work together on a little bit of code, then it is possible. Basically, you set up your model in Genesis, you export it in a specific format, and you re-import it in another software where you can set up any interaction mean, including OSC if needed or whatever. Is it clear enough? But we would have to work together a bit on that. So if you are thinking of an artwork in this direction, perhaps we could have you as a resident at Acroé for some time or whatever to work together on that. It's not difficult, but it has to be made together.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, no, my problem for work. Okay, for now was controlling maybe a mask that creates sound. Yeah, I can export and use I don't know Ableton Live for play sample, but it's more interesting maybe use a modeling because you have I don't know maybe resonance of the previous sound or
yes,
other things.
You are absolutely right. Variability of the sound in regard to gestures is obtainable even with any gesture device, not only haptics, thanks to simulation. And it's definitely, well, it can be definitely more interesting in terms of sound than sampling, than triggering samples. Yeah. I agree with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, I would at this point thank you for your presentation this morning here at Osmosa and online. And we hope we stay in touch even after the project finishes. I think we established some nice collaboration so far, and I think Simone could also contact you directly regarding this via Giuseppe or him directly to Acroé in Grenoble. Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon, and we continue with our festival, with the exhibition, and this evening's program, which is concerts at Zankarev Dom, the main venue, one of the main venues in Ljubljana, and we hope to catch you at some other occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And
Good luck for the continuing your festival. And
Definitely.
we cross the finger to meet you
in November,
in presence.
in Grenoble, in Slovenia, and in the large future.
Yes, maybe it's a good idea to reserve a laboratory to take the test already. Last time it was full. Okay, thank you. Yes.
The concerts are not streamed on YouTube, I guess.
No, this time no. We plan to make them exclusive, and we will only stream it to the public at the venue.
Yes, sure.
But
Okay.
Actually, I think the first two performances tonight, which are coming from ZKM, you will be able to see on their YouTube. So the same thing that we will watch, the YouTube stream, you can also see. But not the thing which is in the space, unfortunately.
Of course.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you there.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
On quitte, c'est ça.
C'est marrant parce que ça marche pas si mal cette téléprésence en fait.
On se recolle là parce qu'on est visible et audible par tout le monde.
Ouais, bien sûr.